What's going on, everybody? It's your boy QuestX coming back at you once again. And this is a video that I really wanted to do because one of my favorite comic book characters got his own movie. We all remember the Sam Raimi, I don't want to say incarnation, but the Sam Raimi idea of the Venom character back in the day. But now we got Tom Hardy playing Eddie Brock, who in turn will play Venom. And you know what my position is on this situation. This film is a conundrum, in my opinion. There are parts and aspects of it I really love. Okay, let me first and foremost say that I believe that Tom Hardy's interpretation of Eddie Brock, is I want to say that his Eddie Brock is what throws off this entire situation. I saw a review. I forget the person who wrote it. They said that it seemed like Tom Hardy was doing his best impersonation of Liar Liar by Jim Carrey. Absolutely, I totally agree. There were certain aspects of the Eddie Brock character in this film which made absolutely no sense to me. Then there were other aspects that did. For instance, there's a specific scene, don't want to give away too much. There's a specific scene where he's in the convenience store and you literally see, and this is where Tom Hardy's acting, his brilliant acting comes through, where he is questioning what he should do. Okay? And I like that confliction within the protagonist in a story, where you know that he's going to become the hero of the tale, but how he gets there is, you want to see that conflict, that internal conflict. You see it. And then this movie tonally is off. They put comedy where comedy shouldn't be. Then they put moments of heavy emotion where it shouldn't be, and it just seems like it's a mishmash. And it never quite fleshed itself out to become the film that they ultimately wanted it to be. There were scenes, literally, I was in, QuestX was in a movie theater with my lady, and we literally were turning to each other and we were talking, and I was like, what's your thoughts after a specific scene? And she's like, well, why did that happen? Or, damn, that was too fast. The pacing of this film was way off. Way off. Okay, they spend the first half of the film with Eddie Brock establishing that Eddie Brock is this investigative journalist and that he, gets to the bottom of a story no matter what, right? They introduce his love interest, who, I'm sorry, could have been played by anybody. It was played by the beautiful and talented Michelle Williams, but it could have been played by anybody, because I felt like the director and the direction of this film, they weren't sure who they wanted. Okay, did they want Michelle Williams to bring her caliber acting, or did they want her to play a specific character who was boxed in to what they had written? Because it just seemed off. It seemed really off, okay? Then we kind of got like a little semi-bromance between Tom Hardy and, not, spoiler alert, and then Michelle Williams' character had ended up having another boyfriend. It was just weird. Everything about this film just seemed like they had several different versions, and Sony didn't trust the original vision that they had, so they cut everything together and they mashed it together, and then this is what you get. The end result is the Venom film that was released, the theatrical version. I feel, based on certain scenes, you can totally tell they intended this film to be rated R. Certain dialogue, I wouldn't say typically, but definitely aligned with a rated R script, rated R film, but you can tell where they changed it last minute. there's a scene, right? And I'm not giving away too much, but there's a scene at the end of the film where Eddie Brock is sitting with his love interest, Michelle Williams, and he literally says, and this is how you know that the film was, it didn't know where it was going. Eddie Brock says, after he got fired from his initial job, he says he has a job interview at a place you wouldn't believe, right? Then now, during the film, they make several references to him traveling to a certain place. We all know this as comic book fans, where Eddie Brock ends up. But he makes a reference that he has a job interview somewhere, right? Now, if they had ended the film at that particular spot, it would have made total sense, right? Let's say that Kevin Feige from Marvel, the MCU, gets a hold of the character and says, listen, I want to do something with it, right? But the after credit scene, and this is something that my lady points out, she's like, oh, babe, that don't make no sense, though. Because they implied that he had this major job interview at a major newspaper outlet. Now, mind you, Venom fans, Spider-Man fans, we know what I'm talking about. And then the after credit scenes, he's still in San Francisco. Like, and they make a specific point that this is where the second film will take place. So, like, are we doing a time jump? Has Eddie Brock been Venom for several years? And we're going to pick up with a certain villain of Venom's afterwards, but then still, you still need to incorporate the villain that they introduced in the after credit scenes with Spider-Man. It was a mess. It was a colossal mess. But, and here's what's so frustrating about the Venom film. You like certain aspects of it. I'm sorry. The character of Venom was so fucking hilarious. This dude said some of the things. It was like literally watching a comic book off screen. The personality. Tom Hardy truly understood, and this is where you can kind of see it. Tom Hardy seemed to understand Venom, but did not understand Eddie Brock. And I don't know what, and based on his rendition of Venom, it leads me to believe that the direction by the director and the writers are what screwed this up when it came to the Eddie Brock character. Because Tom Hardy was perfect as Venom. He voiced Venom. He came, and I think I read an article where it said that Tom Hardy, pretty much after researching the character Venom, came up where what Venom's personality would be and where he would be coming from. It was great. I did not like how they changed a lot of the symbiotes, the origin tales. There is a particular symbiote that shows up this movie. I don't want to give away spoilers that fans will probably go crazy for. If you read the comic books, I went crazy during this scene, but they only gave this particular Venom a few seconds on screen, and then that was it. And then even how they ended it, it just seemed weird. Like I said, this film tonally is way off. That's where the problem, and it's structured. It's discombobulated, and that's the biggest problem. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I watched the video. Listen, if I'm going to grade it from 1 to 10, 10 being the biggest or the best film, I'm going to rate this a 5. And be honest, it's 50-50. There are scenes you will. Oh, and I just want to sit there when I'm thinking about scenes. There's a scene towards the end of the final act, whereas the big bad versus the other big bad, which, honest to God, I watched this film in a huge movie theater, and I was sitting in the back where you can get the full spectrum of the scene, and I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. And that just goes to show you where the CGI wasn't completely done. There were scenes where you will see that it didn't make any sense. There were a lot of problems. I think if anything, ultimately, I would love to see where Kevin Feige would take the character Venom. Keep Tom Hardy. I think Tom Hardy totally understands Venom, but I would love to see his take on a Kevin Feige steered Eddie Brock. 100%. It's your boy Quest X. I'm out. Peace.